Hi friends, this is Angela Power Disney. Difficult video to make. I'm probably going to entitle it Brian Hurle Under Attack ? He was my guest on a video a couple of Fridays ago, which has had a couple of thousand views and stirred up a hornet's nest. You can check that out on my channel and check out the comments as well. I am used to trolling, severe trolling, character assassination by the trolls, some of the leading ones being Karen Irving, Shiva Burton, Ricky Dearman, and others, but there are many. Alan, what's his name, this latest one? There's AJ Lashbrook. Oh, that makes sense. And there's another one, Plisco, legend Plisco, Alan Mitchell. There are a lot of them. Flow Destroyer was very active. There's a whole gaggle of them. And I can testify to the intensity and brutality of the level of trolling. So Brian informed me that shortly after the interview, he took his family, including 3 children with disabilities and his wife, for a few days away. It turns out at Butlins in Bognor Regis, and did his best to unwind with his family. And I've seen evidence that a campaign was mounted and despicable, in my opinion, trolling, sending, just bombing. Now, this has happened before. Shiva Burton's done this to me, where she'll say, get your reporting fingers ready, let's go after Angie's YouTube channel or whatever it might be. But to actually go after somebody on holiday with their children, to me, is despicable. Whatever reservations or concerns I might have, Brian Hurle is not a danger to women or children, in my opinion, and in my experience, and he's certainly not a nonce. So to have bombarded Butlins, I hope he takes legal action. I hope he identifies who did that. And if he had an angry response, I think most fathers would. I haven't seen his anger outbursts, but I can imagine, and I'm open to seeing them. But to me, that was absolutely crossing the line. He then went to, I think he did admit to me in messages or a phone call that he had been furious about it and expressed his rage, you know, I don't know, in comments or something like that. But when he went to report the appalling trolling that was done at Butlins while he was there with his wife and children, he was held for 6 hours himself, whilst they tried to rush through an injunction by one of the people he knew to have been behind this hate campaign, this attack. So he was held for 6 hours and then warned not to go to Nottingham to the protest the next day. And it's a classic case, I think, of a person trying to do the right thing being the one victimised. You can see this with John Patterson, still locked up in a secure mental unit with absolutely nothing wrong with his mental acuity or faculties, pending another trial next year in April. It's just, that will have been a year, not even on remand, just illegally and unlawfully held in a mental health unit for telling the truth. We've seen this happen so many times. So, so what else happened? There was the 6 hours held, and then the threat of an injunction, but not an injunction. And then it seems his dog was poisoned. So if this is true, and I am clear that this is not for the faint-hearted, trying to expose paedophile rings and corruption and government involvement with alternative media or anti-child abuse movements, infiltration, so on, trying to expose at this level is not for the faint-hearted. And you know, Brian, as he said, is new to this. He's more of a sort of hands-on. He's not a gangster, but he's been friends to many gangsters just in the line of business. He had a security company for 30 years, I think. Now, there are some issues that I have. One, and I've promised to always be honest, one is that the list that, and I think Hoaxted have run a video about this already, but I haven't looked at it. Somebody sent it to me, and I have to be in strong constitutional form to look at their bile that they spill about me, which is just, you know, horrible, horrible. How do those people sleep at night? But I established within, I think, a few hours of the interview that what Brian believes to be an updated REINS list from 2018 is not exactly that. The REINS list, for those that don't know, there was a psychotherapist called Dr. Joan Coleman. I think she might have been based in Surrey, real, you know, very well qualified and long-term psychotherapist. And she noticed that certain names kept coming up with clients that she was treating, many of whom had been abused, and many claimed to have been abused in satanic rituals. So she just started to document her findings, and then when it was incontrovertible that the same names and same venues and same rituals were coming up, she made a list which is referred to as the REINS list. There can't be updated REINS lists because she's dead now. I used to follow her blog back in, I think, you know, from 2009. I've still got lots of them saved on my in my, you know, I made a folder especially for her blog because it was so good. So there have been readings of the REINS list. I think Kat, now who was it? Kat got it from Chris Spivey. Chris Spivey I interviewed years ago. He was the first to publish it on his website, and I think he gave permission for Kat. She published it on hers. Somebody at UK Columns done a reading of it. I might do a reading of it because there's a lot of interest in it, but it's not accurate to say that there are updated REINS lists in their original form. So the document that Brian sent me, I sent it to a friend of mine, and it was her work. So she said, I can't stand behind those people being perpetrators. I made that list as those people being agents of the state. And so I went back to Brian about that, and he said, no, since I got that list in 2018, my team and I have done the research, and there is evidence on the first half of his list. Now the problem, that's great, and I hope that's the fact. And he says that his research team have an updated list of 2020, which they're referring to as the REINS list. I'm just being very specific for the sake of accuracy. So there's alleged to be a 2020 updated list, but the list in its form that Brian shared with me, as I say, I know the source of that list, and she said she can only go as far as saying that her research shows those people to be agents of the state. So to clear that up. The other thing is that we've had an issue due possibly to the drama and the trolling, the attacks on Brian's family, his dog, you know, I mean, how desperate can these people get? The trolling off the charts, whether that's been the cause or something else, but there's been a breakdown in evidence delivery, which is causing me some distress. You know, I've always said with child abuse, and especially with satanic ritual abuse, but even just child abuse, child sexual abuse, evidence is hard to come by. That's why it's the perfect crime, because for the most part, who's going to believe a child, even an adult, you know, recalling abuse? It's very easy to be disregarded. You know, I think only 2% of cases get to court. You know, because, or maybe 8% get to court and 2% result in a prosecution, because it's the perfect crime. It's a crime against children for the most part. And there is, I do believe there's evidence, because it's used for blackmail, but people sit on it. I do believe the FBI, well, I know the FBI has had evidence from Epstein's blackmail material since 2005, but they've chosen not to share it or act on it. So we're not just fighting the perpetrators, we're fighting parts of the intelligence agencies that know the truth of what adult survivors or children are disclosing, but because it would cause chaos to say, for instance, there's royalty involved, or there's politicians involved, or there are police involved, or teachers, social workers, you know, it causes chaos in society. So very wrongly, in my opinion, this kind of evidence has been suppressed. And I love what the NSA, you know, a lot of people complain about surveillance and it is intrusive and getting more intrusive, but I love that they have it all. You know, we need to know both sides of the, you know, Atlantic, you know, what's happened to the Wiener laptop. You know, John Mark Dugan, the sheriff from America that fled to Russia, says he has copies of the Epstein evidence from the 2005 raid. There is alleged to be very definitive evidence on the Hampstead case and on the Rains list. And I'm just appealing to those who have control of that evidence. You know, don't wait to be disgraced as somebody who had it and didn't bring it forward, because that will be what happens. Please bring forward the evidence, and as hard and challenging as it might be, the children deserve that, and people, you know, deserve that. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. So I don't have calls to the UK on my phone plan, and I've looked up the holiday site now. I let Brian down in a way, because I was so exhausted and also getting trolled and attacked. And I was very frustrated about the meeting that didn't happen, which had been arranged. So I didn't go live, and I didn't phone the holiday camp to say this is pure malicious trolling. It's got, you know, the people that did it need prosecuting. So I what can I say? I was a doubting Thomas. I was waiting on very important documents which didn't come through. Just my head was fried. So this is I just can't see an email address. There has to be one. It's inviting me to sign up for an email which I don't want to, but I can't find where to email them. But if anybody can get that to me, I will happily email them and familiarize them with these tactics, mostly in my experience, at the hands of Hoaxdead Research. I'd be happy to give them plenty of evidence of that. Yeah, am I just missing it? Our blog. Yeah, website feedback. I suppose I could go to their Facebook page. I'll look it up that way and message them that way. But I presume that's dealt with. I think a lot of people contacted them and told them exactly what, where, and how, and why. And I am still waiting on some very crucial documents. As I say, I just wanted to clarify that the document shared from 2018 is not a REINS list alleging abusers, rather based on extensive research alleging names of agents. So I'll share that on a more detailed video and some other information. We're at a deadlock, and let me just see if there's anything I've missed. I just think that tactic was despicable, but I've seen it before. I've had my character assassinated in my own hometown and across Ireland. Really, there's no depths to which these people won't stoop. So I don't know all the ins and outs of. You know, I have heard that Brian has been aggressive with female YouTubers, and you know, I don't advocate threats and aggression, but I've lost my temper a few times with the trolling. And there are some female YouTubers that are brutal, and not just brutal, but lying. No names mentioned. So yeah, I don't advocate threatening. I don't advocate violence, but nor do I advocate character assassination and harassment of children on their little holiday. For God's sake, what is wrong with you people? Appalling, absolutely appalling. So anyway, like I said, to anybody that feels able or willing, I don't know, I think the fire is out now, but I certainly will email the resort and familiarise them with this this strategic trolling and mass phoning and targeting and tweeting and writing on Facebook pages. I just hope those people are held accountable. I really do. You know, perhaps we'll have Brian on again and we'll go through the REINS. I'm not going to call it the REINS list because it's not the REINS list. There is a REINS list. If I have time, I'll do a reading of it. But according to Brian, this list that was created by a friend of mine, based on extensive research and asserting that multiple names were, and it included John Wedger and Bill Maloney, were in fact agents of the state, but not that person who created the list was not alleging child abuse. So if Brian has further evidence to add to that, I would just ask him to do an evidence drop with me. And if that happens, I'll let you know. Thanks, guys. And I'll be back soon. God bless. Just want to see if there's anything I missed. No, I think that's enough for now. I will do a more in-depth on this. Sometimes we just have to let things unfold. And I've always promised if I get let down or if I get evidence to the contrary of what has been said by my guests, I will bring that to you. So over and out, Angela Power Disney, angelascaches.org.